My mother-in-law constantly compared me to my husband's ex, undermining my efforts as a wife and mom. Hurt and fed up, I strategized to outshine the past, turning the tables to reclaim my place and confidence in our family. I'm Kennedy, 28 years old, married to Wesley, who's 32. We've been together for 4 years, married for 2, and we have a 1-year-old son, Liam. Wesley's a mechanic with his own small garage, a guy who's steady, kind, and always willing to lend a hand. I'm a part-time graphic designer, working from home so I can keep an eye on Liam. Our house is a cozy 2-story place on the edge of town, with a little porch out front where I sometimes sit with a coffee, watching the neighbors mow their lawns or walk their dogs. It's a quiet life, or it was, until my mother-in-law started picking at me. She's in her late 50s, widowed, and lives in a neat brick house 20 minutes away. She's got this habit of speaking her mind, no filter, and lately, her favorite topic is comparing me to Savannah, Wesley's ex-girlfriend from years back. It's like a splinter under my nail, small at first, but now it's festering. It started innocently enough. One evening, she was over for dinner. I'd spent the afternoon in our cramped kitchen, white cabinets, a scratched-up wooden table in the corner, making lasagna. The smell of garlic and tomato sauce filled the house, and I was proud of it. As I set the table, she leaned back in her chair and said, "You know, Savannah made the best roast chicken. Wesley couldn't get enough of it. She had this way with seasoning." I forced a smile, my hands tightening around the plates. "Oh, really? I'll have to try that sometime," I said, keeping my tone light. Inside, though, I was irritated. I'd put effort into that meal, and she was talking about someone else. Wesley just scooped lasagna onto his plate, quiet as usual, but I caught the quick glance he threw my way. He knew I wasn't happy. That was just the beginning. Every visit, she'd drop another line. Savannah kept her place so tidy, she'd say, her eyes sliding over the stack of unfolded laundry on the couch. Or, Savannah had a knack with kids. Liam would have loved her. It wasn't just the words, it was the way she said them, like she was holding up a scorecard and I was losing. I'd nod, bite my lip, and try to let it roll off me, but it stuck. Who was this Savannah? Wesley had mentioned her early in our relationship, his girlfriend from when he was 22 to 24. They'd split because she wanted a big city life, and he didn't. That was all I knew, and I hadn't cared to dig deeper. Now, she was this perfect shadow I couldn't shake. Things escalated when Liam turned 1. I threw a little party at our house, nothing grand, just family and a couple friends. I'd stayed up late the night before, baking a chocolate cake in our temperamental oven, frosting it with shaky hands. The living room was a mess of balloons and streamers, and I'd made sandwiches on mismatched plates. It was chaotic but warm, the kind of thing I thought a first birthday should be. My mother-in-law arrived early, saying she'd help, but she mostly stood around, sipping coffee and watching me scramble. As I cut the cake, she piped up, "Savannah threw amazing parties." She'd have had a theme, streamers, matching plates, the works. Wesley always said she was so creative. Her voice carried over the chatter, and I felt everyone's eyes on me. My cheeks burned. Wesley's sister, Cora, 25 and my lifeline in this family, gave me a small, understanding smile. Wesley muttered, "Mom, the cake's great," but the damage was done. I stood there, knife trembling, feeling small in my own home. That night, after the guests left and Liam was down, I couldn't hold it in. The kitchen was a wreck. Crumbs on the counter, sticky juice stains on the floor. Wesley was scrubbing a pan, sleeves rolled up, when I said, "Why does your mom keep bringing up Savannah? Every time she's here, it's like I'm auditioning against her." He set the pan down, wiping his hands on a faded towel. "She's just stuck in the past, Kennedy. She liked Savannah. It's not about you." His voice was calm, but it didn't help. "It feels like it's about me," I said, crossing my arms. "Like I'm not good enough." He stepped closer, pulling me into a hug. "You're more than good enough. I'll talk to her." I leaned into him, wanting to believe it'd fix things, but doubt gnawed at me. His mom wasn't the type to back off. A few weeks later, another problem hit. Wesley's garage lost a major client, a guy who'd brought in half his monthly income. He started working late, coming home with grease-stained hands and a tired slump in his shoulders. The stress crept into our house like damp air. I'd hear him muttering about bills, see him staring at the ceiling at night instead of sleeping. I tried to lighten the load, cooking his favorite chili, keeping Liam quiet so he could rest, but it left me stretched thin. One evening, my mother-in-law showed up unannounced, a bag of groceries in her arms like she was rescuing us. I was on the living room floor, changing Liam's diaper, surrounded by toys and a pile of mail I hadn't sorted. She scanned the room and said, "Savannah would have kept this place spotless, even with a baby. So organized." My patience snapped. "I'm doing my best," I said, my voice sharp. "Wesley's barely home, Liam's teething, and I don't need this right now." She blinked, then huffed, "I'm just pointing out what I see," and left. I sat there, Liam squirming in my lap, feeling both free and awful. Wesley came home late and found me on the couch, staring at the TV without watching it. I told him what happened, and he sighed, running a hand through his messy hair. "She's out of line. I'll handle it." He went to her place the next day, came back saying she'd apologized, but it sounded half-hearted. She'd grumbled about trying to help. I didn't buy it. The comparisons kept coming, and I was drowning in them. Then another layer of trouble landed. Cora stayed with us for a week because her apartment was being fumigated. She's easygoing, with a quick laugh and a knack for calming Liam when he's fussy. I liked having her around. Our little guest room, with its creaky bed and faded quilt, felt alive with her in it. But one afternoon, as we chopped veggies in the kitchen, she let something slip. "Mom's always had a thing for Savannah," she said, slicing a carrot. "She still talks to her sometimes." I stopped, knife hovering. "What do you mean, still talks to her?" Cora's face fell. "Oh, just every now and then. Mom thought she and Wes were perfect." My stomach twisted. This wasn't just nostalgia. My mother-in-law was still tied to this woman. I waited until Cora left the room, then sank into a chair, staring at the peeling paint on the wall. It hit me hard. Not just the comparisons, but the idea that she might wish Wesley had picked differently. That night, I asked him, "Did you know your mom still talks to Savannah?" He frowned, setting down his beer. "No, they haven't been close since we broke up. Why would she?" He trailed off, then shook his head. "Kennedy, I don't care about her. You're my wife. Liam's my world." His eyes were honest, but the hurt stayed lodged in my chest. The next blow came from an unexpected place. My best friend, Caroline, 29 and single, started pulling away. We'd been tight since college. She's bold, sarcastic, always up for a late-night chat. But lately, she'd been distant, canceling plans with excuses about work. One day, she came over, her dark hair pulled back, and sat on my couch, picking at her nails. "I've been seeing someone," she said finally. "Bennett. He's 33, a chef. It's getting serious." I smiled, happy for her, but then she added, "He knows Savannah. They're friends. She's been asking about you." I froze. What? What?" Caroline shrugged. "She's curious, I guess. Heard you're married to Wes." My mind raced. Savannah wasn't just a ghost. She was reaching into my life. That night, alone in our bedroom, Wesley at the garage, Liam asleep. I sat on the edge of the bed, the worn blue comforter bunched under me. I thought about the past, how Wesley and I met. It was at a mutual friend's barbecue, summer heat thick in the air, the smell of grilled burgers everywhere. He'd been quiet, sipping a soda, and I'd liked his calm energy. We'd talked about nothing big, music, movies, but it felt easy. Now, I wondered if Savannah had been that easy for him too. Had he loved her more? I shook it off, but the questions lingered, heavy as the humid nights we used to spend on that porch. The next morning, as I poured cereal into Liam's bowl, I couldn't stop thinking about my own mom. She lives 3 hours away, and we don't talk as much as we used to. She's busy with her garden club and her part-time job at the library. But growing up, she'd always told me, "Don't let anyone make you feel less than you are, Kennedy. You're enough." I missed her voice now, that steady reassurance. I almost called her, just to vent about my mother-in-law, but I stopped myself. She'd worry, and I didn't want to drag her into this. Still, I wondered what she'd say, probably something about standing my ground, but with grace. It made me feel a little stronger, imagining her in my corner, even from afar. Later that day, I took Liam to the park down the street. It's a small place, swings creaking in the breeze, a patchy sandbox where kids dig with plastic shovels. I pushed Liam in his stroller, the wheels crunching over gravel, and watched other moms chatting by the benches. I felt a pang of loneliness. I used to be one of them, swapping stories about sleepless nights or teething tricks, but lately, I pulled back. My mother-in-law's words had me second-guessing myself. Maybe I wasn't as good a mom as they were, or as Savannah supposedly was. Liam giggled as a squirrel darted past, and I smiled. But it was bittersweet. I wanted to shake this off, to feel like me again, not some runner-up in a contest I never signed up for. I couldn't keep reacting. I had to act. First, I talked to Cora again, over coffee at our scratched-up table. She told me more. Savannah was artsy, charming, the kind of person who lit up a room. My mother-in-law had adored her, and when she left Wesley, it broke her heart too. But you're better for him, Cora said, her voice firm. You're solid. She wasn't. It helped, but I needed more than words. I decided to outmaneuver my mother-in-law, to prove I belonged here. The next time she visited, I was ready. The house smelled of roast chicken. I'd found a recipe online and tweaked it with garlic and herbs. Made this today, I said casually as she walked in. Wesley said you loved it when he was a kid. A lie, but it worked. She ate, nodded, said, it's good, and didn't mention Savannah. I kept it up, asking her about Liam's naps, thanking her for advice she hadn't given. It wasn't groveling, it was control. She started softening, or at least running out of steam. Wesley's garage turned around too. A new client came through, and he was home more, smiling again. Caroline and I patched things up. She swore she'd keep Savannah out of it. The final test came when my mother-in-law said Savannah was good with, and stopped, catching my eye. I smiled. I'm sure. But Liam's happy with me. She didn't argue. Now, sitting on that porch with a coffee, Liam napping inside. I'm thankful. This mess made me stronger, showed me I'm not just filling a role, I'm building one. My mother-in-law's quieter now, Wesley and I are tighter, and Liam's thriving. What do you think? Should I have faced her head-on, or was this slow and the way to go? I'd love your take. I'm still figuring it out.
Thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the story. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you never miss our daily updates.